Hello and welcome to another edition of the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860. Stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement, featuring professional home inspector Jack Milne. Jack is going to be doing something a little special, a little different today, but it's going to really be interesting. And as Jack tells us, every house has a story, and he's seen plenty of houses, and he knows plenty of stories. How you doing today, Jack?
I'm great, Barry. Here it is, another Sunday, and we have actually one more week until August is over.
Oh, don't even tell me that.
Well, it's...
But I like September, so I'm not too unhappy.
Yeah, I think September is one of those underrated months.
Right.
And, granted the kids are back to school, life is a shuffle, everything is topsy-turvy. But I can tell you the best time at the beach is September.
That's true. It's gorgeous then.
Yeah. And I do look forward, to the cooler weather. I mean, summers tend to be hot, and being a home inspector, getting in some of these attic environments and walking hot roofs, I mean, I kind of like where the days are warm but the nights are cooler and the mornings are cooler. So I love this time of year, and by September 15th, the air conditioners are off and the windows are flung back open again, and we have just a great period of time before winter kicks in.
Yes, Mother Nature provides the air conditioning at that time of year and the heat too. We don't have to pay for it.
Exactly. So today's topic is Tri-County Inspection Company rounding 30 years old.
Wow, that's a happy anniversary.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. I mean, I kind of feel like the bride who's been engaged for 2 years, and now we're under a year. So I figured I wanted to have fun on today's show and take everyone on the Wayback Machine and tell you everybody how Tri-County actually got started. So. But before we kick in, of course, I always want to thank my sponsors. And as always, please let them know that you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show. So Pest Blaster, we'll start with them today. Again, they cover radon, mold testing, wood-destroying insect inspections, as well as pest removal. And again, with the changing seasons almost upon us now, animals are going to start looking for those nice warm enclaves, which may be under your house or your porch. So if you're starting to see some critters, you want to get rid of them safely, reach out to Pest Blaster at 215-295-5555. Burrow Exterminating, located out of Glen Olden, Pennsylvania. They do termite as well as radon testing. And, radon testing doesn't always have to be done when you're buying a home. If you've resided in your home and you're seeing houses for sale in your neighborhood and you're seeing these radon pipes exhausting above your roof line, you may want to spend $125 to get your house tested just to make sure you don't have it in your home. It can lead to cancer, especially if it's particularly high. So 610-586-5640. Bucks Mountain Inspections, anyone who deals with on-site sewage, buying a house with it or currently own a home with it. Also macerators, which are human waste grinders for those the new homes that have bathrooms and basements. Consider a pump alarm, and they can help you with that. So 215-669-4213. BrainFlushGear.com. They're going international. I was really excited on that news I heard a week or so ago. So you never know where they're going to end up now. So BrainFlushGear.com, it's that easy, or contact at BrainFlushGear.com. Of course, Tri-County Inspection Company. We've been in business since 1985, 73,000 some odd inspections to date. We're located in 15 counties. We're in your backyard. So 215-295-2030 in the Lehigh Valley, 610-346-7880. In South Jersey, 856-853-4224. And, of course, visit the website at tcinspect.com. So entering the email box, Ryan from Egg Harbor Township sent me an email and said, I can hear your show loud and clear down here in New Jersey, which is awesome. I heard the show on pre-listing inspections. The market down here is very slow with Atlantic City and all. I contacted a local inspection company, and he inspected my home for $425, which is a good fee. Found things that I didn't even know, although I lived in my home for 15 years. The inspection report was presented, and now my house is under agreement. Best money I ever spent, and thanks again. So, folks, honestly, that show was a few weeks ago, but, I love this stuff, and this is your show. So please email me for topics at thehousewhisperershow@gmail.com. And, of course, you can always visit previous shows at thehousewhisperershow.com and podcast all the time at www.dbam.com. So today's topic, Tri-County Inspection Company, rounding 30 years old. I get to blow my own horn, which is very rare, by the way. So as I mentioned on last week's show, a few weeks ago I was in Kentucky for my annual motorcycle journey, and the 12th of July kind of came and went. And by the 15th of July, as we were sitting on the front porch of the home we rented, I realized that TCI became 29 years old a few days prior. And although 30 does not become official until 7/12/15, like I said earlier in the show, it's like, being the bride and waiting for next year to come with the anticipation of the goal. And it really does make the goal that much more fun. So I'd like to actually set the Wayback Machine to 1985, and I brought this up to a realtor friend of mine. He goes, "Well, you remember Peabody and Sherman on the Bullwinkle show?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Most people today don't even know who that is, but there was a local movie out not too long ago that sponsored the Wayback Machine." So in 1985, I was already 2 years into inspecting homes. I was working for a well-known general contractor at the time. I was selling solar collectors, water, not photovoltaics, and doing inspections during the day, meeting clients and selling my general contracting services at night. And although I worked in Pennsylvania, I lived in New Brunswick at the time, actually with my future bride. So by 1985, I was doing 3 inspections a day, dictating at night after my other appointments, and delivering my micro cassettes to a young student, Selena, I wonder where she is now, at the Bucks County Community College. The reports were mailed, and keep in mind, faxes would not evolve until after 1990, and off I would go again. My vehicle was a 1993 Nissan King Cab with a hardwired car phone. My answering service was in Northeast Philadelphia, and would charge my beeper 25 cents, and they would promise me that they would beep me every 15 minutes. So by the time I was getting done inspections and beeped every 15 minutes, my monthly bill at that time in 1985 was $1,600.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you serious, Jay?
My fees started back then at $195, and I think my highest fee at the time was $500. My schedule book was a small day timer with like the equivalent of a 3-inch by 3-inch posted type paper with clients' names, addresses, and where I was supposed to be at either 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or sometimes 6 p.m. on a given day. So inspections back then were about 2 hours long and allowed me about an hour travel time in between. There was no such thing as lunch or dinner. So I chose the name Tri-County because at that time most of my work was in Montgomery County, Bucks County, and Philadelphia. And through time and perseverance, I went to New Jersey, expanded into Chester and Delaware counties, and now I'm proud to say that Tri-County is now in actually 15 counties. Phone numbers were easy to get at the time, and one thing I didn't want was a 1-800 impression. And also I found it was overpriced. So what I did is I settled on phone lines, initially from Bucks and Montgomery counties, eventually expanded into Malvern with the 296-2004 number, the Lehigh Valley with the 346-7880 number, and then eventually Mercer and Camden counties. But at the end of the day, folks, when you ring any of those local lines, it reaches our office now in Morrisville. And for quite a period of time, I actually worked out of my home in Yardley. And like I said, I didn't want that 1-800 impression. I always wanted to be your neighborhood home inspector. So by 1986, I was running my office at the general contracting company. I was doing 4 inspections a day, and I joined ASHI in 1983. But I could not become a full member of that National Home Inspection Association until I fulfilled 750 inspections, which took me to 1987. And also in 1986, I brought on Bill Kibble. And Bill was the foreman for the general contracting firm that I was working with. Was 22 years old and said he had ulcers. So even at that young age, his knowledge was incredible, and I brought him on. I did inform him, however, that my brother, who was graduating from Slippery Rock 1 month later, and I had promised him employment. So here I am. I'm training Bill, and he and I were running the roads for 4 weeks. We did about 80 inspections together. He was able to pass the ASHI exam and was on his own when I picked up my brother, Scott. So he graduated literally on a Saturday. I brought him home to New Brunswick on Sunday, and he was up at 5:30 on Monday. So, Scott, welcome to life.
I tell you, a good chance for us to take a little break. It's a great story. I'm really enjoying hearing the Wayback Machine, Jack. Let's take a little break, and we're going to pick it up where we left off, all right?
Sounds good, Barry. We'll be right back.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today, and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperers show.
As the temperatures gradually rise, so do the odds of all those filthy and unwanted critters invading your home like rodents, roaches, termites, and flies. Oh my! This summer, if you want to feel safe and secure from a possible creeping, crawling disaster, do yourself a favor and call the exterminating experts at Pest Blaster for all your pest control needs, including tests for radon and mold. Please visit pestblaster.com and you'll be sold. 215-295-5555.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to.
Okay, we're back with Jack Milne. Let's continue. Things have changed so much. Like you mentioned, there were no fax machines back then. You had a wired car phone. At least you had a car phone. Not everybody even had a car phone back then.
Well, yeah, and that's what we called them. You know, and Barry, my first car phone was $1,500.
Wow, yeah.
So when I brought Scott on in June of '86, I automatically went from 1 inspector to 3 inspectors for the company. And Scott was on his own by September, so what did I have to do? Now I had to buy 2 more car phones. And fortunately, I was getting deals. So by that time, they were only $750 a piece. But at least we could communicate with each other. But Scott was kind of shorthanded. You know, he kind of left Tri-County in November of '86 to pursue life in the real estate market, and then I hired my next inspector. So through my career, I've trained more than 12 home inspectors. Bill is absolutely still with the company, and with his focus primarily on historical properties. In fact, he's actually the director of the Building Inspectors Association, which is nationwide. So he is an absolute excellent inspector, and I'm promising to bring him on probably sometime in September on the show and introduce you to him on the air. So by 1987, we had grown from a company of 4 inspectors, and now it was time to hire a full-time secretary and a typist. So when I brought Linda on, she was a mother with a child in 5th grade and wanted to try something on her own. And Selena graduated Bucks County Community College, so I actually was able to bring Linda into the office of which I had rented, and eventually moved from that rented office to my home. And as we were converting my basement to a full-time office, I interviewed Sally Ann from the upper bedroom without furniture, and she joined the team. And Sally had worked for a high-end real estate company, is familiar with the goings-on of the real estate market, and was new to home inspections. But what I found ironic is that her salary was $1,200 a month. The phone was still costing me $1,600 a month. And so I was able finally to drop them. Now, I remember this phone number, which was 215-934-3677, and because they owned the number, I wasn't able to use it. And ironically and sadly, they actually gave my phone number to an electrician who, after a few weeks, started to indicate that Jack Milne no longer worked for the company.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. So a few calls later by my attorney, the electrician was fired. So I had to establish a phone number and contacts all over again. But, but it all worked out. So inspections were actually numbered according to the numerical order. So it was easy for me to keep track, as well as the typist. And my typist grew from 1 typist to 3. Faxing was quicker, postage costs were dropped, and next-day delivery could be guaranteed. So that was a really nice way to see how advanced technology was becoming back then. And what about computers? computers, the personal computer, again started in and around the mid to late 80s, and so we didn't have to rely on a typewriter anymore. So again, advances were made, and it doesn't seem that long ago. And look how much we've advanced. So, literally, as I call it, a team was established between the secretaries, the inspectors, and the typists. And this group did become a family, but like most families, inspectors did come and go. Some did try to make it on their own. Some were successful, and some were not. But the goal was still the same: high-quality inspectors, a strong staff, and satisfied clients. So I joined the Tri-State ASHI Board in the mid-1990s and became president in 2000, just as the Pennsylvania Home Inspection Law was running through the halls of Harrisburg, and so was I. With frequent trips, I had to disclose that I was not a lobbyist, and that I was actually a home inspector who was interested in consumer protection. So the bill passed in 2001 and came into full effect in 2002. In 2000, I also formed the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition, or PIC, because unfortunately, running through those halls of Harrisburg, I was watching how a strong bill was constantly being diluted. And unfortunately, we are still not licensed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And we hired a lobbyist. I brought him on. And finally, in 2012, we let the lobbyist go. And so we are only one of 12 states left in our country that does not license their inspectors, but I gave it my best shot. I was president of the Pennsylvania Coalition from 2001 to 2006. So being the president of that group, I was approached by City Council in Philadelphia because they had written the licensing law in 1987 and wanted to implement it in 2002, literally within 30 days. And long story short, they wanted the home inspectors in Philadelphia to become a sub-agent of the Division of L&I, Licensing and Inspections, so that in essence, as we came across material defects, as we call them today, within 72 hours, we had to contact the Division of L&I to revisit those properties to implement current codes to bring those houses ready for sale. So in essence, I spent another 2 years working with City Council and the legislators, and so that law passed on April 15th, 2003. And so one of the things that I had asked, being a volunteer, was that they make me the first licensed inspector, which they did. And my inspectors at that time became inspectors 2, 3, 4, and 5. So by 2005, the real estate market was on fire. Tri-County had 7 full-time home inspectors, and they were also licensed in New Jersey. But because of the real estate bubble being fractured, with the Great Recession, I did have to scale back my inspectors from 7 back to 4. And, I hate to do that, but business is business, and I kept my core group. So Bill Kibble, who's now been with me for 28 years inspecting homes, is the past president of Southern New Jersey ASHI and treasurer of the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. Pete Wilden, 29 years inspecting properties, also both the past president of Tri-State ASHI as well as Southern New Jersey ASHI, and of course myself being owner, president of this, president of that, and of course Greg Thomas, of which many of you have met through the years, has been with the company for 14 years. Jim Newton is my newest inspector. He trained with me for well over 9 months and is already to set his own mark. So the office staff consists of 3 full-time folks, Kristen, Maritza, and Lori. My typists are my strongest asset, with Kathy at her computer for now over 20 years, and Diana, who helps Bill put really the best report out in the business. So having a group like this allows me a few minutes every week to broadcast to you as the House Whisperer. And although 29 years has just passed, and so did our 72,379th client. And I can assure you that every client is a member of the Tri-County family. So although I can't quite blow the candle out yet for 30 years, you can bet that I can't wait for that moment with my staff and family. So without you as listeners, without you as clients, there would be no Tri-County Inspection Company. And as I meet my clients many times for the first time, by the time I'm done with them at the end of the inspection, I indicate how their inspection report's going to work and how their future's going to look. I always ask my clients at the end of the inspection to please pass their name along, because without that referral base, we would have been closed a long time ago.
Jack, it's a fascinating story. We're out of time, though. That's the only problem.
As it is Sunday, please spend time with family and friends. I look forward to seeing you next week on the House Whisperer Show.
Tune in again next week for another edition of the House Whisperer Show with the man himself, professional home inspector Jack Milne. You got a little bit of a background about Jack now. To listen to previous programs, or if you have any questions, you can visit the website, thehousewhisperershow.com. And I'm Barry Reisman. Thanks to Jack Milne. Once again, great hearing a little bit about what he does and how he does it and how he got there. And we'll talk to you again next week right here at WWDB.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.